Welcome to the Totally Honest Cooking Show. I'm Mark. Today we are doing Korean fried chicken. I got this recipe from funkyasiankitchen.com and we're going to see what it's about. The recipe calls for chicken wings. I'm subbing in thighs immediately. I have no idea whether the change in form factor and surface area of the chicken will mean that I need to double or triple. I'm also doubling the amount of meat, so I've added a handicap for myself right out the gate. So we're going to start with a double batch of the marinade and then see if I can coat the chicken. If I can't coat the chicken, obviously we're going to need to make a triple batch. You know, whatever. Let's get started. I'm going to start by cracking 2 eggs in a bowl. 1, 2. Then I'm going to stop and rinse off all the egg I got on the cutting board that I plan to use later. Once we've got our eggs in there, we can go ahead and start adding our other ingredients. I'm going to go ahead and add 2 tablespoons of soy sauce and oh, whoopsie-doodle, I was looking at the wrong side and it turns out that this measuring glass starts at 3 tablespoons, so we're just going to pour it in here. 1. I was almost right. I was almost there. Pretty good, huh? Pretty neat. Okay. 2 tablespoons of that. Then you realize that you totally should have gone with the dry ingredients first so that you wouldn't wet up your tablespoon unnecessarily. I got everything out. I had cue cards ready. I said, Mark, we're not going to do that thing where I make jerkins cut 37 times. It'll be fine. And lo and behold, we got a million cuts. That's fine. We're going to go ahead and add 2 tablespoons of Korean chili flakes. I should probably taste these first. Hold on. Definitely spicy. Now, these are the same pepper that we will be using later when we make the sauce. I probably should have gone mild with the sauce, but I had to get the ingredient in gluten-free, and the easiest one to get was medium. So, we'll see if this is incendiary. As has been seen before on this show, I am the kind of person that coughs and or needs to blow my nose 37 times when I have spicy food. Next up, we're going to put in 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. And a teaspoon of salt. I'm actually going to use 1.5 teaspoons because I'm doubling. And a fourth a teaspoon of freshly ground pepper. Actually, that should have been closer to 1/2, and I think that's probably is closer to 1/2. We're also going to add 2 tablespoons of ginger. First, we're going to peel it with a spoon because that's how you peel ginger. If it's knobbly, don't cut the knobs off. Just work the spoon around the knobs. See? Okay. So, it calls for grated ginger, so I'm going to grate the ginger. Don't peel more than you need. You can store it easier if it's not peeled. In what is an interesting whoopsie-doodle, it appears that I grossly underestimated how much ginger is in a tablespoon. Maybe I don't need to be microplaning this. Yeah, let's just assume that I don't need to microplane this and that I can grate it on an actual grater. So the good news is the results are pretty much the same if you use the microplane edge on a cheese grater. The bad news is that it does not change the form factor at all of the ginger that comes out. So that's fun. For some reason I was hoping it would be a little less goopy, for lack of a better word. Though I know that that's what it will make it good in the marinade. I don't think I have 2 tablespoons worth of ginger here, though I may. Yeah. No, we did it. Yay. And there's our ginger. Now we're just gonna whisk it. Now, you'll know that you did this right because it'll smell really good. So now we're going to go ahead and coat our chicken in the marinade. Both sides. If you have gloves for this, you may wish to wear them. If you're like me and you're unprepared, make sure you wash your hands thoroughly after handling this chicken, because I have a feeling that this is going to be potent. As I somewhat predicted, I'm not sure we'll have enough marinade. We might need to mix up more. Now, I don't have more ginger. That was an oversight. If you're an anxious cook, that's okay. Just get used to occasionally stuff being, you know, if you don't have it, leave it out. You might change it a little bit, but it'll be okay. I'm also going to set aside about 3 tablespoons of the marinade. And then I'm just going to pour the rest right over top. You're going to let this sit for about an hour. You may even choose to marinate it overnight. While we're waiting for the marinade, we should probably start making our sauce. So we're going to start with, again, this is a double batch, so 3 tablespoons of sugar. While we're waiting on the marinade, we should probably make our sauce. So we're going to start with 2 tablespoons of sugar for the double batch that we're making. Double batch. Jerkins, cut that. Then we're going to prep some garlic. Now, you could just mince this. I'm going to throw it in the crusher because, like I've said the last couple episodes, it's the end of the year and I'm a teacher and I'm a clown car on fire. But I'm a clown car that likes chicken. So I'm taking the time to make this, even though I would rather be asleep in a corner somewhere, to be honest with you. To that, we're adding 4 tablespoons of unseasoned rice vinegar, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 4 tablespoons of gochujang. That's Korean chili paste. If you are trying to be gluten-free for some reason, you can get this gluten-free online. In the store, it's going to probably have barley in it. It's basically the same chilies that we had before in the marinade, only they're made into a paste and they mix it in with like a syrup made of either barley, rice, or soy. This one is soy. And we'll go a little lighter on this one because that one was kind of heaping. We probably cut it, but I just tasted some. Got a kick to it. Like a real kick. Like, wow. That might cause some regret later. Then we're going to want 6 tablespoons of ketchup. Before I realized that the notes I took said way more sugar than I put in. So when I was like 3 tablespoons, 4 tablespoons, 2 tablespoons earlier for the sugar. I put in 2 tablespoons, but the recipe actually called for 6, so I'm going to put in 1/4 cup, which is 4 tablespoons. And then I'm going to add in all that ketchup. Then I'm going to whisk it around a little bit. Get all the ketchup off of my spatula. Double check, see if there's anything I forgot. Oh, there is. Again, I'm still making a double batch, so I'm adding 2 tablespoons of sesame oil. Then I'm adding 2 tablespoons of neutral oil. This is vegetable oil. And now we're ready to start whisking. It's been over an hour and we're ready to set up our dredging station. We're going to need 3 cups of potato starch and half a teaspoon of baking soda. Ooh. This is cornstarch. That's not ideal. So, I was watching the camera and making sure my shot was centered, and it looks like I missed the part where I dredged the chicken. Yay! You take 3 cups of potato flour and half a teaspoon of baking soda, and you put it in a baking sheet like this. That lets you kind of hydrate it all at once. That way you pick up more craggles. Also, before you start, that leftover bit of marinade we have, dump it in and trace it around with a fork. You might need a second plate. I got the second plate because it doesn't fit, obviously. And that's really all there is to it. The only other thing is you can use whatever kind of chicken you like. I didn't go with wings because thighs are currently cheaper, and I like thighs better anyhow. They're less work. You don't have to cut the drumette and the flat apart, and you don't got to remove the wing tips. It's less work in a recipe that's already kind of labor intensive. Really wish I had recorded for that. This episode has 2 or 3 whoopsie-doodles in it, so that's a new record. Yay! Remember, anyone can cook, especially you. If you make mistakes, nobody knows unless you tell the editor to leave it in. Jerkins, cut this! Okay, we're heating the oil to 325 degrees. If you want to do something else while you're doing this, make sure you're like right here, like where the chicken is. Not on the counter, but like near there. Don't wander away. We're aiming for 325 degrees. I'm going over medium-high heat to get there, and I'm making sure I have my spider on hand. Well, that is going. I am going to cut up some french fries, but I'm not going to show them to you because that's not this show right now. Once our temperature hits 325 on our instant read thermometer, we're going to start dropping the chicken in. So we're going to just start, and it should look like that, by the way. You should see the bubbles. Try not to keep them right on top of each other like that. You don't ideally want to touch them for the first 3 minutes or so they have a chance to set. The last deep frying video we did, we cooked at 2 different temperatures for different increments of time. This time, we're cooking for 10 minutes at 325 twice. So after the first 10 minutes, we're going to take it out, bring it back up to temp, and keep it going. With this, we will have to do 3 batches, so it will be about an hour of fry time total for all 6 pieces. If you have a humongous wok, this would be the time to break that out. If you notice anybody sticking out like this, you're just going to make sure that you flip her over. Make sure they get equal time. It'll be okay. You're going to want to be somewhat careful when you're manipulating the chicken in the boiling oil, obviously. Ideally, you want it to cook at the temperature that you had it at. That was a whoopsie-doodle. Glad I wasn't standing right there. You're probably going to want to apron up for this. It's been about 10 minutes, so we're going to take the first best batch out. Note how crispy that it looks. If you can, strain out some of the dregs. But if you can't, don't go crazy trying to get it. Check the temperature. And we're ready for our second batch. And I'm just doing them 3 at a time, 10 minutes at a time. Okay, we've cleared out the chicken. The recipe said to try to scoop out the foam and the crunchy bits, so I'm taking a strainer to it. That was probably the way to do it the first time, to be honest with you. I don't know how to get the foam out, but we'll start with that. Obviously, don't make yourself crazy trying to get it all. So we're going to bring this back up to temp. We're ready to add our chicken back in. Oops. I broke off a big chunk of that one. Be careful adding your chicken back in. It is fragile. Okay, we are going for another 10 minutes or until the internal temperature hits 165 degrees. I'm going to cut off of this until it's time to remove the chicken. Because looking at the same pot over and over again is boring. Repeat that step until you run out of chicken. Well, the last couple pieces of chicken are coming up. You're just going to want to heat the sauce a little bit in a pan. The goal of this is to get it hot enough that you can get it around the chicken. I'm only going to do 1 or 2 pieces because if it reheats poorly, in part because it's dipped in the sauce, and I'm just having this for dinner, why do a whole bunch of chicken? I can dip it tomorrow, and it'll be better. Reheat it in the air fryer, dip it in the sauce, and it'll be good. It looks like it's done. Make sure you watch your sauce, don't burn the sauce. We worked hard on that. Okay. You could just let this cool down on its own on the stovetop, but I'm just going to pour it directly into a double strainer, into a giant measuring cup. And at long last, it is time to plate. I've got some of my bootleg French fries. They look okay. They're not great. They got cut out of this episode because they're not great. I was way too busy and interested in getting this done properly. Now, like I said, you can make as many of these as you want. I'm only going to opt for a couple of these today because if they don't reheat particularly well, don't dip them in the sauce. Heat them up in the oven and then add the sauce afterwards. Let's be sensible, right? Some green onions, some sesame seeds. And I made this, let's see. Let's get some better lighting over here. Jerkins, give me the lighting. Ooh. I made this Korean style fried chicken. And you can too. Me and this chicken got to go get to know each other. So, like, subscribe, click the little bell, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.